This is a Glendale Library Arts and Culture program, created for teens, edited and hosted by the Teen Library staff. Check out community service opportunities and teen events down in the description box.
Hi everyone, it's Melissa
and Desiree.
Welcome to the guest episode of Teen Gen Talks.
Today's guest is a full-time corporate sales consultant, business owner, content creator, and host of the What Fulfills You podcast. She was born and raised in a very small town in Pennsylvania and pursued her ultimate dream at the age of 18 to move to Southern California to attend college. Prior to this, she was an elite-level competitive figure skater. At the age of 16, she founded her first business, Elite Skatewear. This became her full-time hustle at the start of her junior year in college. In May 2019, she graduated from Chapman University with a BA in Strategic and Corporate Communication and a minor in Entrepreneurship.
Grab a snack and drink, and let's welcome Emily Elizabeth to Teen Gen Talks. Thank you, Emily, for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So to start off this interview, we want to take it back to when you lived in Pennsylvania. You mentioned in your bio that you were an elite-level competitive figure skater and a USTA ranked tennis player. When did this passion for figure skating and tennis arrive?
Yeah, great question. So I started skating when I was 5 years old. And it was kind of like your classic birthday party. And pretty much I stayed on the ice. And I think my mom fortunately realized, I really liked the event. I really liked the sport. And so she decided to put me into lessons and I went from there. And then for tennis, that was ironically at a time when I took a break from skating when I was like 9 or 10 years old. I took about a 2 to 3 year break. And my older brother, who's 8 years older than me, he was a competitive USTA ranked tennis player. So I was able to kind of hang out with him during his practice and start playing. And from there, it was a pretty easy transition. And then when I was about 13, I wanted to come back to skating. And so I just kept up with both sports just because they're both very individual and not team oriented in a sense where you have to rely on like a team schedule and whatnot. So by the time I was in middle school and high school, I was able to like skate in the morning and, do tennis in the afternoon. And for me, that was always really enjoyable because I got to just express myself in my own way.
Just 16, you founded Elite Skatewear. What made you decide you wanted to start this business?
So I think when we all are in our teenage years, we kind of have that tendency to want to do things our own way. I don't know if you guys have recalled that in your own experience, but we're just teenagers and we're like, no, mom, I want to do it my own way. So that was kind of the basis of it, where I was 16 and I couldn't really settle on a design that I liked for my competition. I was getting into the season and picking the dresses for the routines I had. And I didn't really like anything I saw. And I told my mom, is there a way that I could like pick out the colors and all the design, like the details of a dress and like have someone like help me like produce it? And so my mom, of course, I was 16, she had to help me figure it out a little bit. And then eventually fast forward that year, I believe a lot of people asked me like where I got the dress. It was like really unique. And it was more of like, obviously a kid and the modern day teenager designing it versus the typical dressmakers and moms and elders. I hate to say that, but just older people who typically design dresses. And so I think I had more of a young flavor to it. And from there, when I noticed so many people ask me where it was from, like where'd you get it from, I was like, maybe I should like try to sell some of these. Obviously at the time I had no idea what I was doing, but I ended up taking photos of my dresses and then basically putting it on eBay for a custom made to fit option. And as like a side tangent, I actually did this with custom denim shorts as well. So back in the day, I used to get really crafty. I'd go to Goodwill. I would buy like high waisted, like men's, like Levi's jeans, and I would like cut them, fray them, and like put American flags on them. And I would sell that on eBay as well. So I was pretty crafty back in the day, but that was pretty much how my business started. And then from there, I created an e-commerce business when I was in college and finally understood a little bit more about business and how to like actually structure it. But yeah, that was how I started.
And so going back, you guys make like custom made to fit competition dresses. What's the whole process like?
So my process is more of kind of giving customers the option to either buy the dress like the way they see it in the photo, or maybe changing the color, adding sleeves, or changing it, modifying it in however they want for their specific skater, or maybe it's a skater that's emailing me. And from there, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to like create the final production. I have a team that actually does it, and they help kind of co-design it in a sense where they're the ones making it. So they really get to see the final product. And, you know, if a certain fabric doesn't look as good, I let them make that final decision as well. So it's like pretty much all a team effort. And then from there, I get all the dresses and I do all the operations and packing and all that from this apartment that I'm in. So I definitely do all the shipping and handling and operating the business and so forth. But yeah, typically after 4 weeks from when they order, I ship it out. I put in all the goodies that they would like for the competition and so forth.
What are some things that you have learned throughout the years of having your own business?
Ooh, really good question. I would say top thing I've learned is just time management. I think having a business is really great, and especially in today's world, like really desirable to have your own business. I just think also it requires a lot of self-discipline and a lot of ability to manage your own time and not get distracted being on Instagram, Snapchat, talking to your friends. And when your friends go, hey, do you want to go get a smoothie? Like sometimes you really do have to have the discipline to say no to certain things like that in order to get your business to where you want it and aspire for it to be. And then also just having a projected vision. I think so many people go in and say, oh, I want to do this and this and this, and not enough people are able to actually write out a plan and figure out step by step how they're going to execute that. And that's why often hobbies or that want to be turned into businesses remain as hobbies because there's no structure to it. And that's just kind of the foundation of what a business needs to be in order for it to grow, even if you keep it a small business, which is what I want to do.
So you mentioned that you want to keep Elite Skatewear a small business, but where do you wish to see it go in the future?
Yeah, so when I say small business, I mean, I definitely don't have any desire to scale it to like over, I don't know, 10 employees. But you know, where it is right now, it's really nice. During college, I grew the business to reach more of a global market. And now my dresses are in stores in like Canada, UK, Australia, all throughout the US as well. So I really was able to do kind of different aspects of it where I'm still selling straight to the customer, but I'm also selling in stores as well, which is just retail, where I'm selling at a wholesale price to store owners and they're going to resell it at a retail price. So that's been nice where it's scaling at a certain, you know, revenue and a certain margin, which is what I like and what I want to do. But obviously with other things I do like podcasting and blogging, I think that's also where I want to put a lot of my focus, more so than Elite Skatewear. But Elite Skatewear, because of my background in competitive figure skating and my passion for skating, obviously, I think I'm always going to want to keep that the way it is. But I think over the next 2 years, continue to scale, be in more stores, I think, reach a larger audience, but then of course bring on maybe a couple more people to help manage the business in other aspects.
And back in May of 2019, you graduated from Chapman University with a BA in Strategic and Corporative Communication and a minor in Entrepreneurship. Can you let the viewers at home know what exactly is Strategic and Corporative Communication?
Yeah, so strategic and corporate communication is pretty much just a combination of business and communication. And I really like this major, and it really is only specialized at Chapman because it combines the fundamental of business thinking into how you communicate in the world, and also, you know, whether it's in the workplace or with your friends or in personal relationships. So I really like it because it applies more than just a whimsical emotional way of thinking. It applies still like this specific kind of strategy you use in business and work and in a professional life, but also using that communication, the psychology of communicating with humans. And so it was such a great balance because I've always been business minded, but also love the aspect of understanding how to communicate with humans.
And so not only did you get a major, but you also minored in entrepreneurship. Going into college, was that major and minor your first choice, or did you ever want to pursue something else?
So I originally wanted to be a business major, just like your classic business administration major. I never really looked at other majors when I was in high school. I was really set on business. When I applied to school, I was like, okay, it's either biz econ, biz admin, whatever has business in it, to be honest. And I think looking back, I wish I knew more about communication. I wish I knew more about other relatively broad majors that are super vital in any industry. That was something no one really told me, like communication was an option. And I look back now as well. I think that is such a skill that I have I've always had growing up, and a skill that I have right now. So I wish I knew that beforehand, but I was fortunate enough to obviously realize that by my sophomore year. And I was like thinking to myself how I love business, but I didn't like the way we're taught in college on business. It was a lot of almost rather theories versus like how you apply it into the real world situation. And I think the way business is taught in school can be sometimes very black and white, and it's not as applicable in real life. Whereas I just think communication, the way that's taught, it obviously we're learning about theories, but I feel like because we're always communicating with people, we really get to subconsciously apply what we're learning into the real world. So I really liked that.
During your time in college, you also had a chance to do an internship. What are some things that you learned about your internship?
My internship was a fully remote internship. So funny enough, I feel like I already had the remote experience. And to preface that too, I actually was looking for a remote internship when I was looking for the internship. I think this was my senior year of college. Just because I always had the desire to work remote after college, or at least like part-time in person and part-time remote. So what I learned from that though, so I was obviously communication business major combination, and I thought that I was going to go into digital marketing after college. I thought I was going to go into like maybe, PR and branding or communication, anything of that sort, right? Kind of like your classic social media manager internship or job. And what I learned from that though was like from that internship, I realized I didn't like it as much as I thought. And that was probably in part because I do a lot of blogger work and podcasting on my own personal brand. And I think it was too much social media, too much content, too much influencer stuff like to do as a corporate job and for myself. And so I realized that was one thing I didn't like about it. And secondly, personally, I'm going to say that I don't think it's challenging enough for me. I love it. I think it's a very fun, creative outlet because I obviously do it on my own. But as a corporate job, I wanted something that pushed me a little bit more and gave me more of a challenge. And that's kind of why I work in sales today, because sales is a very difficult industry if you're not good at getting no's, if you're not good at getting denied, you're not good at making cold calls. And I think those are such relevant everyday skills to have, regardless of if you stay in sales or if you, if you're not in a industry like that. I think sales is kind of like the ultimate foundation to life as well. So that was why I wanted to do it, because it just revolves around a lot of human interaction.
What's a piece of advice that you would give like a freshman in college or somebody that's going to start their college journey?
Ooh, good one. I love reflecting on college as well. So for those who are like starting freshman year or sophomore year, by the time they're like watching this, my best advice is to like definitely not feel too down on yourself if you're not doing well the first year. Looking back, I kind of laughed because I stressed a lot in college, which I think was healthy in certain parts, because I don't think as well if you're seeing yourself at 2.7, you shouldn't not care either, because you want to kind of be in the middle balance. But that's like an advice I would have is like, don't be too scared, but still remain focused. And I think like another piece of advice too, I would say, is don't be discouraged by your peers. Like if you personally don't want to, if you're not like a party person, or if you're not someone that really cares to indulge in things that most freshmen and sophomores like to do their first 2 years, don't like, I don't want to say it's about peer pressure, but don't feel like you have to. And I say that because as much as I loved partying, I always kind of identify as someone that is like of two extremes. Like I can be a really extrovert and love to go to, kind of social events, but then I also am someone that is super disciplined in like what I want to do with my life. And I think for people who are 18 and 19, when you're in college and you see your friends not as focused, you go, is something wrong with me, right? At least that's what I kind of asked myself. Like, I didn't ask myself if I was too mature, but I felt like I didn't fit in the same framework, and I didn't think like the average 18-year-old. And I just don't think people should feel discouraged by that either. If you do genuinely have this idea of where you want to be after college, during college, also feel free to do that as well. Like don't feel free. Don't feel like you have to do whatever your peers are doing as well. Just rather find people that are kind of more aligned with what you're hoping to do in life, even if it is people that are a couple years older. Regardless of age, you want to look for people that are more aligned with your values and aligned with kind of the direction you want to go in life.
You recently released an ebook called The Everyday Girl's Guide to Career Success. Can you talk a little bit more about the book and the inspiration behind it?
I was inspired during COVID. So this was pretty much like in April when I started thinking about this book idea. And I reflected on college at the time because I was getting close to about like 1 year out of college. I realized that a lot of people don't, especially, young females that I talk to in college, they don't really have a guideline on how to prepare for after college, how to prepare for like what you want to do. I think everyone gets really stressed, like senior year, Thanksgiving dinner, your parents and your family go, all right, so Emily, what are you going to do after college, right? Everyone's like, please don't ask me that, like Christmas, Easter, whatever holiday at dinner. And so I thought about that. I kind of laughed because whenever I got that question, I will admit I never was really scared to answer that because I did always know what I wanted to do. And it wasn't because I thought the way everyone else thought. It was because instead of asking myself, what job do I want after college? What career do I want to go in? I asked myself certain things like, in a perfect world, how would your day look like after college? Like from the morning you wake up, from the time you get back, I'm talking like, what time am I waking up? Am I dressing up for work? Am I wearing a t-shirt to work? Am I straightening my hair? Like, do I have to look really presentable or can I look casual? Who are my coworkers? Are they mainly female? Are they a mix? Are they young? Like, I was asking myself literally like from day, like from the moment I wake up to like the day, to the end of the day, what does it look like? And I don't think people think of it like that much. I think teachers and our professors and our parents are always encouraging, like, well, maybe you should think about going to law school, maybe you should think about going to medical school, maybe you should try studying psychology. It's always about like the specific career and like that one focused area. And it's kind of mind-boggling to me to not think about, like, if you want to wake up at 10 a.m., that's amazing, right? Like if that's like the time you would prefer to wake up. So now look at a job, look at the careers that give you that kind of time frame where you're working from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. There are jobs, a lot of tech startups like software engineers, that's actually the time that they're working. They usually start work at 10 a.m. And I know people personally that do. So I just think that people should like ask themselves those questions versus like the job question. And so for that reason, I wrote this book to kind of share my mindset, like how I think about these things before I graduated college. Because from the external world, a lot of people say, wow, like you're doing really good. And I will say I am. I just think it's also because I didn't think conventionally. And I think in order to get to this point that you're desiring to get, you also have to think outside the box as well. So I essentially wrote that book for that reason, to help people really think outside of the box and also prepare to be the best in interviews and so forth, because I feel like this is everything that I did when I was applying to jobs, but more importantly, when I was thinking about what my life was going to look like after college, something I don't think many people think about in the same way.
Not only are you the author, but you are also the host of your own podcast show called What Fulfills You. What made you want to start your own podcast?
I was previously a co-host of another podcast called Young and Ambitious. This was like back in 2019. And I think to like even give you more context, when I was a junior in college in 2017, I was going through a very difficult time in life. I was actually going through a very difficult breakup. I was also just transitioning. I actually transferred from UC Irvine to Chapman. So I was also going through a very difficult like school transition because I had no friends and my family lives back home. And even that, I'm like not incredibly close with them in terms of like sharing about like personal life, whatever issues. And so at the time, I started listening to podcasts. And a lot of specific episodes and shows really changed my life and really changed the way I went about my life and then the obstacles that came with it and whatever that may be. And I recognized that. And of course, also recognize kind of my personal love for public speaking and things like that, communicating, obviously. And so I remember that year, I always was like thinking to myself, 2017, 2018, I said, okay, one day you're going to start a podcast. I feel like that's something, because I always thought about YouTube, but I just didn't love the editing. Like I didn't love it as much as like natural YouTubers do, but I loved speaking. And I felt like it was such a good natural skill of mine. And then fast forward to 2020, when I started leaving the previous show that I was on, I thought about this one because I wanted to think about what kind of show would have helped me back in 2017 if I wanted to hear from a young girl that was only a couple years ahead of me, but also understood these everyday problems and struggles that I was going through. So I was thinking of myself when I was 20 years old, which was in 2017, and I was really thinking about what were those topics. So that's where this show started, where I put together a combination of like kind of business and career advice and topics, also just overall like how to deal with, mental obstacles like jealousy, comparing on Instagram, and how to get over obstacles of like breakups, things like that. And I just remember I never really heard that from someone who's a couple years older than me. So for me, it's more of like my own way to give back to whoever might be in my previous shoes, and because I know exactly what it feels like. So I guess kind of like being an older sister to someone who's listening.
So you also have guests that come on your show. Like recently you interviewed co-founders of this new social dating app, which I love that episode. I listened. It was really good. But how do you find your guests and contact them, and how do you know that they are a great fit for, your podcast?
I really do a lot of deep research on who I would bring on to my show. And it's really always a combination of, founders, co-founders, creators, but also a lot of close friends and personal people I know in life that have given me really valuable and insightful advice. Because if I have applied their advice and that's kind of what I'm living today, then I want my audience to also hear it straight from the source, right? So regarding like guests though, like founders, I think I just do a lot of research, like especially if it's a brand or person I know that I've been following for a while. And I feel like they're a good fit. I just reach out to them over email. And oftentimes I do have a lot of guests now that reach out to me to be a guest on the show. And that's actually how I found Foreplay Social, which is my previous guest. They reach out to me over email. But I think ultimately the thing that I look for when I'm kind of observing their website, observing their social media, and just observing who they are as a person and how they present themselves online, I really look to see if I think they could answer the question of what fulfills them. Because I'm a huge advocate for, if you're a business owner and you're a founder, are you after the money? Are you after the what we call today clout of being an entrepreneur? Or, I'm just being honest. Or do I feel like you are really genuinely to your core mission driven? And what is that mission? Is it really serving people, or is it just semi-serving people? And that's honestly the questions I ask myself when I'm, honestly judging from their social platforms and judging from their website. And, if it's an app, like I'm going to go visit as well, or I'm going to look at the about me part of the business. And so that's honestly how I judge whether they're a good fit or not, because honestly, there's plenty of people that I haven't really accepted on because I think, I don't, for me, I don't care if you're a business owner or not, or if you're a founder, that's not enough for me to like have you on, because my show is very strictly about this idea and concept of living a fulfilled life, something that, again, I learned when I was struggling very deeply when I was 20 years old. And I want that to be the primary focus for the young females that listen to this podcast, because if it is about being an entrepreneur and a founder, or being someone, top in their finance class or job, whatever that may be, it really reduces the purpose of what I say in my career ebook, which is don't think about the job, think about how you want your day to look like. Because if you love the shape of your day from the time you wake up, being able to like grab Starbucks midway through, like things like that, then that's what the ultimate goal in life is, right? Is to have every day be like designed the way you want. Just like when you decorate your room, when you decorate your, whatever, like you get to make it the way you want. Like, why can't we teach younger kids how to do that for their life. Because Monday through Friday is like, you're the big part of your day, like a big part of your week, right? So like, why can't we teach people to design it and still make money as a byproduct? Of course, we need to be able to survive. That's no doubt. But how can we combine both is kind of my ultimate goal, and to help people, because I personally think I'm on the brink of doing that right now for myself. And so if I can teach that to the next generation of Gen Z and so forth, that's, I feel like, my ultimate purpose.
You are currently also a full-time business consultant. What's your favorite part of being a business consultant?
I think I love speaking with clients. Obviously, I love communicating. I love just kind of interacting with people. But something I never realized prior to going into this corporate job was my relationships with my coworkers. I have an incredible team. All of them are really funny guys, give or take 2 to 3 years older than me. And I remember when I went into the corporate job, I never really just had the thought of like, I'm going to be friends with my coworkers. I was just like, okay, I just hope I enjoy this job. I think I like it. It's called field sales, which is where pre-COVID I'd be meeting with clients like in their office or at the bank or at their, at lunch or something, and speaking with them and like, selling them whatever it is that they need. However, I've developed really awesome, meaningful relationships with my coworkers who I talk to every day. We have a little fun group chat, and it just makes it enjoyable because, I think at the end of the day, we realize, especially during COVID, people are what matter most. The relationships we have with people are what matter most on those bad days. It's like, who are you calling on the phone? Who are you calling when you're having a bad day, when you have a bad breakup? Because it's always going to be another person on the other side. So for me, that's more so the best part of is like the people that have enhanced my first year post grad life, and something I would have never known or thought of had I not gone into this job.
So before we end, we have some rapid fire questions. The first question is, what is your favorite color?
Ooh, navy blue.
What is something that you have been proud to say that you have accomplished?
Probably just creating my podcast. I think there's plenty. I think it's just doing something by yourself and on a project is like, can be really hard and can be like, it's just hard to manage with everything else I have. And I'm just really proud to have stuck through it and really be able to apply something like a mission that I've always had onto a platform like that.
What is some advice that you wish you would have known when you were younger?
Okay. Advice I wish I knew when I was younger. Okay, this one. I'm gonna say like pretty much that timing always works out. So ironically, I actually don't necessarily believe that everything happens for a reason. However, I do believe that timing works out at all times, even when it doesn't seem like it. And I look back today, 5 years ago, and I just think that the certain things that happen, the relationships, the breakups, the friendships, whatever, the people I met, even though I might not have wanted it then, or even though I might have wanted it then and it didn't work out, I look back now and it's really unique to see how, if it didn't happen at that time, I wouldn't be like where I am right now today. So yeah, I think timing, just trust the timing, but doesn't mean that it always is a reason, but yeah.
Can you describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words?
Ooh, okay. Ambitious, driven, and wild. Two extremes, I tell you.
If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you have?
Flying, to fly. Yeah, I was about to say read people's mind, but honestly, I think for the sake of sanity, I'd probably be better off not reading people's mind.
If you could have 3 people, dead or alive, for dinner guests, who would it be?
Ooh. Okay. One person would be Sarah Blakely. She's the founder of Spanx, which is like a really, I think, well-known company at this point. I think the youngest female, or the first female billionaire. Second person would be Ray Dalio. He's like the author of one of my favorite books, and he was like the founder of the largest hedge fund. And I think he's one of the few people in business that have applied like this concept of relationships and how to like interact with people in his life, even. And I don't know, I just think he has such a wise view on life, so I would love to learn from him. And then a third person would probably be this DJ. His name is this is so random. His name is it's the DJ Tiesto. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. But my dream career, to most people's surprise, is actually to be a DJ. I would love to be a DJ. Everyone's like, what? That's so random. I'm very passionate for music. I played piano for like 10 years, and I would just love to like get just a sneak peek into his brain, like how he thinks, how he creates music, like how it started. You know, he's done it for 30, 25 years. So I would love to just kind of pick the brains of like all three different people that are in different industries, but like something I feel like I would love for myself.
What is a book that you have recently read or currently reading that you would recommend?
Currently reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think it's a really good book. I know it's been popular over the past couple months now. Second book that I'd really recommend for like this younger generation, it's The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I don't want to like say that word, but it's by Mark. I think it's a really good book though, especially for the younger generation. I think that book was what really shifted my mindset in 2017 when I was going through a really difficult time. And I think, especially in today, since we're all on social media, I think everyone could learn a thing or two about not caring about what other people think. And I think that book will really help you if you're someone that gets anxiety or a lot of struggle with like comparing yourself and caring about what your mom or that friend or that stranger thinks about you. And hopefully maybe just live a more stress-free, reduced anxiety life.
So thank you so much, Emily. We learned a lot about you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. Can you let everyone at home know about any upcoming projects and where they can connect with you?
So project-wise, I'm just expanding on my podcast. The community is growing like crazy. I know a lot of people enjoy it. So definitely check out the Instagram. I know that one's a really fun platform. It's just What Fulfills You Pod. And the podcast, What Fulfills You, it's available on all podcast platforms. Hopefully going to be signing with a network by January. So that'll be exciting. Obviously my career ebook is available on my blog at emilyelizabeth.blog. It's really great if you're in high school, college, and you just want to kind of just think about it in a new light, I would say. And then where you can find me on Instagram at Emily E. Duong, and my blog, emilyelizabeth.blog.
Yay. Thank you so much for coming on. It was great.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's Desiree again.
And Melissa.
Did you enjoy this episode?
I'm sure you did.
Then please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for this channel.
Check out the teen content video playlist here and our latest Teen Gen episode here.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.